Hi everyone, this is Jim. Welcome to this post-mortem of my recent Blitz game, number 14. In this game I played black here, so let's change the orientation of the board. And my opponent opened with e4 and I chose e6, the French defense. So we continued the main line here, and I play bishop to b4. This is known as the Winawer variation. The other main move, which is more popular these days, is to bring the knight out to the square f6. You can see slightly more common, but this Winawer variation is a very exciting way to play, and gives chances for both sides. So e5 and c5 are the normal moves. Black was undermining the center, so white needed to do something about that e5 pawn, and then black immediately tries to undermine the center again with c5. And the normal move here, is to push the pawn, attacking the bishop and forcing this exchange, which leads to this position where black has given up the bishop pair and white has taken on some damage. And also white has a strong space majority in the center, so he has easy development out here and can get some attacking chances on the king quickly. So the two, looks like there's a few moves here. I played queen c7. The main line, I guess, is knight e7, but let's look at this variation I played. He plays queen g4, which is the main move, although knight f3 is almost as popular, and that's also good. Like that. He plays queen g4, probably the most exciting way to play, and I play f5, which is the idea of this this queen c7 move. The queen is now defending the pawn this way. If you back up a second, it says I could have played knight e7, and that would have transposed back into the other line. I could have played knight e7 first and then queen c7 second. So he goes back to g3, keeping the pressure on the c pawn, and now I start playing some unusual moves. So let's look at the main line here. C takes d4. This is not played. I just am curious about this variation. C takes d4, and then knight e7, and then the queen doesn't take here. I guess the danger here is that if the queen takes this pawn, the rook will come over and chase the queen, and the queen will take that pawn, and then the queen doesn't have any easy way to get back to its side of the board, and there's a defense. There's this threat here of the check forking the king and the rook here, which has to be dealt with at some point. So it looks like after knight e7, the normal move is bishop d2, protecting this c3 square. Okay, I was just curious about that. So let's go back to the game as it was actually played. So after queen g3, I didn't know about this knight e7 move here. I played knight c6, just trying to increase the pressure on the center. And let's turn on the engine. I'm going to leave the engine on through this. You'll see wild swings as the game goes back and forth. And white has maybe a slightly larger than normal opening advantage in this opening. The computer likes the extra space that white has here. But what black gets in compensation is he usually has some counterattacking chances, so it's still a fun way to play, I think, and perfectly valid. So we're just doing, I think, some fairly normal moves. The computer doesn't always think these are the most accurate, but nothing major is going on. I wanted to kick that bishop, so I wanted to maintain my chances of castling queenside there, which I take as soon as I get. And at some point, though, I'm a little bit worried he's going to take here. When his d-pawn takes my c-pawn, it'll open up the king side here, and he'll get some attack. But I'm still hoping to push these pawns and get an attack on white's king side. So that's my idea. And I start out with g5. He castles into the attack. I start developing the rest of my pieces. Yeah, and then he comes up with this idea of d takes c5, which I thought was pretty good. So I sort of have to take back. Weren't a lot of options there. And now he's got this open file he can try to attack me on. He immediately goes there, and I push ahead with f4. and he plays queen g4. So far, so good. And I went knight f5. Yeah, this queen g4 move was threatening to attack. After this move, f4 and then f5 and then f4, this pawn here has become weak. It's not defended by any pieces, and there are no pawns that defend it. So his queen came here and attacked it. I needed to defend that pawn, and I did that by putting my knight in the way there. So he pushes a5 here, and took the computer just a second to realize that White's made a mistake. And I didn't realize this idea at this move. I came up with it later in the game, but already, if you think, look at all the squares his queen can go to. Not a whole lot. He's pretty much trapped. So the idea of pushing a pawn and then pushing another pawn is pretty deadly here. Now, if you push h5 right away, and the reason maybe I didn't think about this is the queen can take on g5. But the problem is, after I bring this rook over, where does the queen go? Yeah, the computer says just play a6, and just try and distract me a little bit. Or queen takes f4, immediately giving up the queen for the knight. But in any case, he's going to lose his queen if I just had seen this move h5. Yeah, so h5 attacking the queen, forcing him to take this pawn. If the queen goes back, then the pawns can come forward. I'll show you that other line. If the queen goes back, then the g-pawn comes forward attacking the queen. And now the knight is covering these two squares. And so that queen is totally trapped. So that was the idea. I didn't get that. I came up with that idea somewhat later, but first I played a6 to block over here. He retreats, bishop d3. I play knight ce7, because when he attacked this knight, I wanted to be able to come back with the knight and still maintain control over these squares. So I was already thinking about trapping the queen at this point. He plays rook b6, and now the computer likes white here. So I missed my last chance. Knight ce7. Instead of that, I should have immediately tried to go after the queen trap and just allowed the queen to take on g5 there. Okay, didn't see that. So he comes up with rook b6. And now I try and trap the queen because I bring my rook over to defend the pawn so that pushing will trap the queen and allow him to take. I realized that the rook was attacking that pawn, but I said, I can go ahead and take that if I'm going to win his queen, right? So I push ahead with h5, and let's see. Yeah, he gets out of this in a very clever way. I didn't foresee this. I guess I didn't notice rook takes e7 here. Oops, cancel. Yeah, rook takes e7 here, attacks my queen. And, okay, let's look at this variation. Rook takes e7. Why can't I just... Oh, and I can't take because my my knight is pinned. So this is horrible. I take his queen, he takes my queen. He takes the knight with check first. I move my king, and then he takes my queen. So he wins a piece in that line, and he's doing very good. He's a rook up, actually. So, rook takes e7 was a strong move here. He didn't spot that right away. He first moved his queen to a safe square, which now gives me a chance. You see, suddenly the evaluation has swung back to being in black's favor, and I push ahead with the right move. Now when he plays rook takes e7, now I can take the rook with my knight, and I should. And but I was still thinking at this point of clever ways to try and win the queen. I thought the main problem was that the knight going with check, and so I thought, well, maybe just stepping away from it. So I said, well, I'll take the queen, and then he takes my queen, and I step away. No, and then I take the rook. That's what I was thinking. But after I attack his queen, he takes the knight with check. And I have to move my king. And then he grabs my queen, and so he ends up a piece up in this line. So if we back up, at this point here, really, I just have to play knight takes e7. And he's basically sacrificed his knight for a rook, traded his knight for a rook, so he sacrificed the exchange, and he's given his queen a square, so the queen has a square to go to. So I'm not going to win the queen in this line, but I'm material up. I have 2 rooks and 2 pieces, and he has 1 rook and 3 pieces. And I have these menacing attacking pawns over here, and my king looks relatively safe. So this should be a game I would go on to win at this point. But that was my last chance. He's got me now after I take his queen. He plays bishop takes f5 check, the best move. I run with my king and he takes my queen. And the game is pretty much downhill from now. My bishop is under attack. I throw in rook takes g2 check. I was hoping this would save me somehow. But his king can just step away from that. And there's not a lot of follow through. Now I grab his rook. And the bishop grabs the pawn. And I retreat the rook because it was under attack. So when the smoke clears, I've got 2 rooks and 1 piece, and he's got 1 rook and 3 pieces. So basically he's got 2 pieces for a rook. And he's just in better shape here. My pawns are kind of scattered, and look at the computer gives it an evaluation of 5. So yeah, so white's in good shape here. Somehow I can't get my rooks to coordinate. You would think the material imbalance is not that great, but he immediately has a lot of attacking ideas, starting with bishop takes f4. Great move there, putting the bishop behind the pawn and threatening a discovered wrong way. Let's draw this the right way. Threatening a discovered attack on the king when he pushes that pawn. I play my rook over, thinking that if he pushes a pawn, I take the bishop. And he comes up with another good move, knight g5, attacking my rook. And where does my rook go? If I go to this square, I guess that's maybe my best try. Then the check comes back. Oh, it says actually rook takes f4 is my best try. The problem is lots of squares where I'd like to move my rook to, I lose it to a check. So I was planning to play this, and I actually did play that. But he does have a check. If I go to that square, what happens? He's got e6 check, king d8, and then he's got rook b1. So this is pretty dangerous for me too. He's just got good stuff going on here. Anyway, I didn't see anything better during the game, and even the computer thinks that's probably my best chance. Oh, I'm losing. Rook takes f4. He plays knight e6 check, king c6. Yeah, I was hoping maybe to get these pawns rolling. He takes my knight, and now I'm just down a whole piece. And I guess we can go through the rest of the game fairly quickly. I try to attack his advanced pawn, which I know is going to be a menace, but he secures it, and then I try to push my pawns, but I can't seem to get anything going here. And yeah, these pawns are now fatal. They have advanced too far, and there's nothing I can do to stop them. And you see, yeah, if I leave the computer to think, it finds a mate in 15 here. So I resign after a few more moves. Here you'll see same thing will happen here if the computer thinks for a while to find a checkmate. Oh, there's a mate in 16, mate in 10. Just took it a while to figure it out. But black is losing. Anyway, good game, Shalosnev. And maybe we'll meet again sometime. I'll find those missing shots, but definitely well played. And hope you guys enjoyed that. Leave any comments in the section below, and see you next time. Bye.